Welcome to I Am One, where I am one with the Creator and one with myself. I know it has been a good hot minute since I have put up a video or shared anything, but life has been really, really busy, and I just thought I'd come on and do a quick, we'll see how quick, but a quick time of catching you up with what's been going on with me. Um, I work full time, and so I usually try to do something on the weekend. And Things have been really busy. I've been doing a lot of uh, personal workings and workings for others, and I've been doing that during the week along with working full time. So by the time the weekend gets here, I'm done. Stick a fork in me, I am done. But with that, I wanted to catch you up with some things that I have been doing, like I said. And some of those things were some workings, some personal workings for some of my staff um, on their behalf, just things going on and seeing a need and making sure that that need is met. And so, like I said, when you do that, and then the new moons and the full moons and the different events in life that come up, and I, make a point of participating in and getting my hands dirty, my feet wet, and so by the time all that's done, like I said, I'm pretty exhausted. I am a wife. I am a mother, although our son is grown and he has moved out. Still, catching up with him and making sure all is well with him and doing the wife thing with the laundry. And I don't cook, he does the cooking, but the laundry and the and the keeping the house together and things like that. So yeah, been just a little busy. But I wanted to catch up with you because the last time that I had shared anything, I was talking about doing shadow work. And a lot of the stuff that I was doing in this silence time was some shadow work stuff. Um, my own personal shadow work, helping one of my team members um, deal with some shadow things with her, and it has been pretty interesting. I'll just say it's been pretty interesting. I did some workings as far as uh, helping different ones get through some challenging things that had to be accomplished, and so giving some magical, spiritual root work, conjure assistance in those areas where they were deemed necessary. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff has been going on. I like to do, and I don't know if you do the same, but for me, I just go to Staples or whatever the office supply stores are. I go and I get the cheap 25 cents, 50 cents notebook, uh, just the 70-page notebook things. And I put a little label on them, and I have what I call my Conjure Chronicles. That's what I label them. And that's like my everyday magic stuff that I do. If I pull a card for the day for myself, I'll write down what the cards were saying to me for that day. Or if I'm hanging out with my ancestors, this is my ancestor altar. I've turned the picture so that I can keep that information private. But when I do breakfast with my ancestors on Sunday mornings, that's what I try to do each Sunday morning. And, if I can during the week, at least one weekday, if my schedule allows. If I can't necessarily eat with them, I will make sure I give them some coffee. I'll refresh their water, so forth and so on. So little things like that that I do on an everyday basis, I put in my Conjure Chronicles notebook. This one is completed, and then I started a new one. I think I have another one that's completed. But anyway, I am young in my practice. I would say am I even officially a year? I don't keep track. It's just I'm allowing myself to evolve. And as I evolve, I just start stuff. So I'm not necessarily writing January 1, 2024, I became thus and so. I just, whatever's going on, I document it. If I feel the need to document, and I just keep moving. So I know that there are some who know the exact day they started their practice, or they started on their journey or their walk or their path or whatever term they give it. I don't do that. Um, Birth has led me. If I'm gonna be honest, birth has led me to this point. So, I've shared a little bit about my story growing up in Christianity and the church and doing thus and so forth and so on. And all that has led me to where I am today. So, while I may not identify as a Christian any longer and haven't for quite some time, um, I'm also not necessarily putting a label on myself either. And I think that was one of the things during my shadow work process that I'm still going through. But that's one thing that I have come to a conclusion of the matter on for me. Um, I do a little of this and a little of that because whatever resonates with me, that moves me, that helps me to dig deeper within myself and appreciate myself for who I am, and I truly call myself I am one, because I feel like that is my journey. I am one, and so if doing looking at the astrology chart for the day helps me get through that. And I listen to a wonderful person by the name of Dr. Michael Lennox. He does a daily astro alert and a daily 1 to 2 minute podcast to just give us a feel for the day astrologically every morning on YouTube, on his YouTube channel. And I follow him, and then he does at least a 30-minute to 45-minute podcast that he puts up every Monday morning. So I listen to that to kind of stay in the loop astrologically. I am nowhere near even trying to touch that stuff. I know my sun, I know my moon, I know my ascendant. And I know when Mercury retrograde is kicking us in the ass and all that stuff. So, again, I'm getting my hands dirty and my feet wet with several things. So that includes some astrology, that includes the tarot, that includes using my pendulum, that includes doing some conjure and using the herbs and candle magic, and just some people call that chaos or eclectic. I call the hoodoo with my ancestor veneration. There are a couple of deities or goddesses. I'm not sure if that's whatever it is. Energies. I try to keep it simple. There are some energies that I am um, in alignment with. I guess I would say. What they represent speaks to me, and not because they're an external, but because I know that what they represent I have within me. And so I don't want to say attach, but I resonate. I guess I'll say that I resonate with those energies because I know that's part of me, and resonating with those energies allows me to be free to express myself, be free to practice, be free to explore. Um, Still dealing with some issues, or I wouldn't even say issues, but just wanting to be 100% free. I think I'm about 80 to 85% there. And so I want to hit 100 and 110, 150. I want to be the peak, reach the peak of my freedom. And I know that I'm on my way there. And what I'm doing is helping me to get there. I still want to open up to some other things. And so in doing that, I still have to deal with what holds me back. I still have to deal with and come to grips with why there's hesitation in doing that next step, whatever that next step is. Why is there still that twinge of fear? Why is there still that twinge? And it's not so much caution. The word is fear. you can be caution. You can be cautious and say, I want to do this, but I want to make sure all my ducks in a row. But if you're reading and you're researching and you're investigating and you are meditating and you are digging deep, and there's still that little twinge that's keeping you from moving forward, that's the fear. So still working those things out, but for the most part, I am on my way. So in that time, in this quiet time that I have not been sharing anything, like I said, I have been doing some workings, and I have also another notebook, and I called this notebook is titled My Conjurations and Ceremonies. So when I do new moon, full moon, if I'm doing a working, if I'm researching, how would I do this? What do I need to do that? Um, when I search it out and I get the plan together and I perform that ritual, that ceremony, whatever term it is, I put it in this notebook. So, if it worked, um, if I need it again in the future, I want to be able to go back to it. What is it called? A grimoire or book of shadows, whatever the term is. I just call it my conjurations and ceremony notebook and my conjure chronicles. So my daily is like my little diary, and then when I'm getting to work, I'm putting it in the conjuration and ceremony notebook. So those are some things that I have been doing. But what I really would like to share with you is some revelations that I have gotten, especially with the new moon and the eclipse that had recently happened on, was that the 8th? I think it was the 8th. Let me go back. Conjure Chronicles for Oh yeah, I have been. When I do like I said, I have breakfast with the ancestors on Sunday mornings. And I picked Sunday mornings because I know that Sunday morning was special to them. They would get ready to go to church. And then the denomination that my mother, that we were in, well, my mother was in when she passed. Um, once or twice a day on Sunday, and not including Sunday school, not including any kind of meetings after morning service, and then back in the afternoon or the evening service. So I know that that day for my ancestors was a special day, and because they're special to me, I set aside that morning. I will make some eggs and. Um, Every now and then I'll do toast. So if we have some biscuits left over, I'll reheat some biscuits and make whatever breakfast I'm making for myself, I make for them. I don't eat pork anymore, but I know that they did. So this past Sunday, I ran to McDonald's and got like a big breakfast because it had the I got hotcakes and sausage. So I gave them the sausage with the scrambled eggs. And so during those times, I really take the time to talk to them, and I let them know what's on my heart. I let them know what I'm thinking about. I let them know um what I'm considering in my practice, and I run that stuff by them. I'm not looking for their approval necessarily, but I do want them to understand, and I do want them to know that I appreciate who they are and the lineage I come from. I understand that their blood runs through my veins, and the strength and the power and the love and the fierceness and even the fear. I know that what is inside of me, I have inherited from them. And so I run stuff by them, and I have had heart to heart talks with them, and I will pull out my get my pendulum, and I'll ask some yes and no questions to them, and depending on who I'm speaking to at the time, and get some clarity, get some confirmation, even get some direction. There was a working that I just recently did. I won't say what that working was, but this past week I did a working, and I had a couple of variations of how I thought I might do it. And initially I was thinking of doing it one way, and then, the one thing I don't want to do is work out of emotion. I want to have a sound mind when I'm doing any kind of work, and have clear intentions when I'm doing it, whatever that is going to be. And so throughout the workday, I thought, well, maybe that one might not be the best way. Maybe this way would be the better way. Because the second way was going to be over a couple of days, and I thought, okay, that will give me time to really get into it and make it work and bring forth the manifestation. And I came home uh, that afternoon after work, and I put it out there. I said, do I do this first one, or do I do the second one? And the first one that I initially wanted to do, they said, yeah, go ahead and do that one. And I was surprised, because I thought they would lead me in the path of, yeah, take your time, work it, let it go a couple of days, and really get the juices flowing and the intention really stirred up in the atmosphere. And they said, no, this needs to be done expeditiously. So go ahead and do it and get it done. And that's what I did. So I spent that time with them, just to, like I said, get clarity, confirmation, and direction whenever the case may be. And sometimes I just need to pour out my heart and let them know this is where I am. Um, and just keep it real. Just keep it real with my people. But with the eclipse that had come to pass, and I'm still getting back to that page. I think it was on the 8th. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it in this book, or is it in my conjurations? Well, I think it's in my conjuration. My apologies. Yeah. Yeah. It was, yeah, 4/8. So I was watching, I don't have the name of her channel. Priestess Aset? I think that is her name. Let me pull it up. There's a whole bunch of folks I follow. But I think it is Priestess Aset. Let me just get it. Yep, Priestess Aset. Ra Amen. That's it. So she, as the eclipse was approaching, she got a download about generational curses, huh? And she had this download about a ritual to do, and she was very specific. She gave the directions, she gave the instructions, um, so that on the day of the eclipse, wherever you were, set your intention that you were going to clean up some things in your bloodline, that you were going to address some things specifically. You were gonna go all in. You were going to address some things, and you were just going to clear the path, clear the bloodline, so that moving forward on the other side of the eclipse, we could see some changes in our family. We could see some changes in our that the cycles that have been going on and going on would come to a halt. That we would be that our intention, my intention, would be stopping the cycle right there. And so at work that day, I had planned to go, where I work, we don't have windows in our building. So once I get in the door, I don't know if it starts raining, if it starts snowing, until I leave to either go to lunch, or I leave for the day to see, oh, it rained, or oh, it's snowing, or oh, it's cold and it's breezy. Oh, it's really nice out here and the sun's still shining. So I don't know how the day is outside until I actually get back outside. So that day I had decided I'm going to go to the park, because there's a park across the street from our work complex. And I said, okay, I'll go to the park and I will set the intention. And even though we weren't going to get the total, uh, um, we weren't going to have totality of the eclipse. So we were going to have like the shadow. But we could still see the effect and feel the effect of it. And so I said, okay, I'll go across the street. I'll find a spot in the park, and I'll do the ceremony, the ritual. I'll bask in the energy of the eclipse. Had it all planned out. But I also knew that not far from our office um, is the lake, Lake Michigan. And there's a harbor down there. And I didn't know exactly where it was or how far away from our office it was. So I would always want to drive, but then I didn't want to get lost. I didn't want to waste my hour of lunch because I'm also a supervisor. So I don't always get to go out on my lunch, or I may go out and just sit in my car just to get away from the 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 box of my office. So as I was going to my car with the intention of going to the park, it hit me to try to find the harbor. And I found out it was only 7 minutes away from the office. So as soon as I found the route to get there and the beach it was it was awesome. That's the best way I can describe it. It was awesome. There was a gentleman there. He had his conga drums, and then there was another woman that had come. She brought her tambourine. So there were people who wanted to be in the moment of the eclipse, because we hear it's not gonna that type of eclipse isn't gonna happen again for another 20 years. Um, and so people were there just to be in the moment with everything going on. And so I found a little spot, and I had my travel altar with me, and I had the implements that I had taken that I was going to use as part of the ritual. And I was also going to do a self dedication. And for some reason, it just didn't feel like that was the time to do it. To me, in my head, I'm like, this is the perfect time. We got the new moon, setting intentions. We have the eclipse. I'm dealing with generational curses. I can do my self dedication. Yeah, it'd be a good twofer. Didn't happen that way. But I tell you, the way that everything transpired and everything came together, and the energy of that eclipse sitting in that, and I only had an hour, so about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I sat there and just took it all in and did the ritual and made the burnings and said the spoke the intentions and the words and the prayer and the petition, and walking up to the water line and having the water come up to my feet. Oh my gosh. um I could still feel the energy as if it happened yesterday. That's how cool it was. Um, but dealing with those things the day before, because that was a Monday. So Sunday in my ancestor time, I dealt with that stuff. I talked to my ancestors, and especially my mother, and I put some things on the line, and I can't talk about a come to Jesus moment. I came to my ancestors. That was a come to my ancestors moment, like I've never had before. And I put my feelings out there. I addressed with respect and with honor, but still telling the truth. And there's one thing I noticed, that when our loved ones pass, we tend to romanticize how they really were when they were on this side. And I don't want to do that. I love my mother. Still to this day, I love her. I honor her. I respect her. But that doesn't mean she did everything right. And that doesn't mean she made the best decisions. And that doesn't mean that some of her fears she passed on to us. And so, because and I have to speak for myself, there are some things that I still hesitate doing because it was ingrained in me because of my mother's fears, that we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't touch that. We shouldn't say that. We shouldn't want that. We shouldn't like that. All that stuff comes into play. And we're still, and then throw the church on there on top of that, where you can't do this, you can't do that. You're a woman, you got to go sit over here and close your mouth and blah, 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 and on down the line. And so dealing with all of that stuff and putting all that stuff out there and telling the truth about some things, how some relationships in our family are torn and tattered and severed, and with siblings and just all that, and just putting all that on the table. Because when the one who seems to hold everybody together is gone, then everybody starts to say, well, mommy was here, we'd be doing such and such and such and such and such and such. And the truth of the matter is, we were only doing such and such and such and such and such just to keep her happy, but we still weren't addressing the truth. We still weren't getting down to the bottom of things. We still weren't holding each other accountable and saying, no, these are my boundaries. We are bound by blood, but that does not mean you get to run over and you get to have 24/7 access. And just things like that, without going to all the detail. You know what goes on, what crap goes on in your family and has gone on. I'm just spilling the tea a little bit on mine. And not having those conversations when we should have. And I'm like, I am not. I am in my upper 50s. Thank you. I'm in my upper 50s, and I am not taking any more of this shit to another year and another 2, 3, 5, 10, however many more years I have left. I am going to live these years free. That's why I'm okay doing this shadow work stuff, because I want to get to the bottom of all this stuff. I want to get it dealt with. I want to get it over with. I want to move forward free. I do. And I want the same for you, but you got to want it for yourself. So anyway, I had that heart to heart with my ancestors, and especially my mother. And then to go to the beach the next day and do the ceremony, it was incredible. And then last Saturday, it hit me. Now, I've had some dreams in the middle of all this stuff where I had a dream like I was being initiated, and I was and I actually dealt with the fear of death. Because in the church, you were doing this and you were doing that, and you weren't doing this and you weren't doing that. Why? You know why? Because you wanted to go to heaven and you didn't want to burn in hell. And coming out of that and really understanding who you are and the presence of the creator of all, and as above, so below, as within, so without, and getting all that understanding, and then coming to the realization of, why were we really fearing death? And especially as I spend time with my ancestors, I know that they know they're free. And I know that what they feared on this side, they understand now there was no need to fear. There was no need to hold on. There was no need to not live life. And I don't want to say it's too late, because they are free. My mother suffered several heart attacks, so I know she doesn't have to deal with this fleshly body anymore and wondering whether or not or when her heart's going to give out on her. It gave out on her, and she is free, and free indeed. My grandmother, her mother, had a stroke, and she survived 10, 12, something like that years past the stroke, but she was limited in her body. She couldn't speak and voice her opinion like I remember her voicing as a little girl and telling folks off. What was in her, she could not release anymore. And now she is free. My paternal grandparents, my big daddy and my big mama, they are free. She succumbed to complications of Alzheimer's. Big Daddy had a stroke, and shortly after his stroke, he didn't last long like my grandmother did. He lasted maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, about a week and a half, I would say. It was around Christmas time, and so he's free. They are free. And I know that they know the truth now. And I know what they really want for us is to live in truth now, on this side, and not wait to the by and by, but live in our truth right now. That is my intention. I want that for my siblings, but they got to want it for themselves. And so all I can do And all I intend to do is make sure I'm free, um, and move on from there. If they want to ask, I'll be happy to share. But I'm not running to tell them, hey, you know what you need to do? You need to get out of that church. You need to stop listening to this. No, if that works for them, I'm going to let it work for them. It didn't work for me anymore. I'm not better. They're not worse. It is what it is. So, anyway, those are the things that I've been dealing with. Those are the things that have been going on with me. And like I said, I had that dream about being initiated and dying in my dream. And at first, I was fighting it because the person in the dream was like, okay, in order to go to the next step, you got to die. And me and the others that were in the group, we started kind of chuckling, thinking, okay, she, this is metaphorical. This isn't real death. And it was like, no, you have to die. And they were doing what was necessary so that we would die. And at first I was trying to run and hide, and I said, wait a minute. Why am I afraid? So I let them do what they needed to do so I could die. And I saw my dead body laying in Kemetic clothes. And I'm really not into all that. And while I say that, one of the energies that I work with is a Kemetic energy. So I'm not putting that down altogether, but I am not 100% Hotep and all. I'm not. I am doing what resonates with me. And so part of the energy that I work with is from that pantheon. But there's another one that is 100% not. 100% not. So anyway, in the dream, in my death, I saw myself laying there in Kemetic clothing with my hands across my chest, and I was dead. Dead. Like I saw my mother in her casket, dead. And then I resurrected. Now, this wasn't a Easter kind of thing. It was. That's why I say I feel like it was an initiation, and the initiation part of that was getting over that fear of death, getting over the fear that one day I'm not going to be in this presence anymore, and my son is going to have to go on. My husband, if I go before him, he's going to have to go on. And there is going to be an emptiness an empty space that I used to hold, that I'm no longer going to. This chair I will no longer sit on. This camera I will no longer look at. So dealing with that, and I was okay with it. I'm okay with it now. That doesn't mean I'm ready to pack up and get out of here. It's just that I'm not going to fight it. Am I going to do what I need to do to take care of myself, to be healthy and so forth and so on? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I, just like when my mother passed away, I'm sorry if I'm rambling. When my mother passed away, that final heart attack that she had a smile on her face that the morticians couldn't put there. She was ready to go. And I've spoken with her about that. She was ready to go. And we have a special needs sister. And I know she hung on a long time because of our special needs sister. She has intellectual disability. So she has always and will always have to have 24/7 supervision. And I know one of the reasons she held on as long as she did is because she wanted to make sure she was going to be taken care of. And she was her major caregiver. And at some point, she realized she can't do it anymore. And she's going to have to let go because her body was done. Her body was tired. And the more she tried to hold on, the worse it was getting for her. And we all saw it. And she finally said, okay, I'm good with letting go. And we're going to have to figure out how she's going to have her care and how she's going to be taken care of and kept safe and so forth and so on. But she had to take her hands off of it. And When we finally got to see her, she had this faint smile on her face, like she knew everything was going to be okay. And that she also knew that she was okay with taking her hands off of it. She had done all she could do. She had done the best that she could do. And it was time for her to let it go. And she did. And that's how I felt in my dream. Um, that initiation was about, are you ready to let yourself go? Are you ready to just die? Every now and then I would have these sleep paralysis, and I would fight it, and I would fight it because I don't want to lose the control. I don't want anything to come in my space that I didn't invite. But I'm starting to understand, if you want to go deeper, you need to go deeper. And if that is helping me to go deeper, to release the control and allow myself to slip to that deeper, to that, you want to call it the underworld or the dark side or the left or the right or the middle, whatever you want to call it. If that's what it takes for me to get there, then I gotta work through that process. And that dream, I believe, was key for me to see, in order to truly be free, I got to be okay with dying. Dying to fear, dying to control, dying to having it my way or the highway, dying to seeing it as far as my perspective is concerned and not seeing anybody else's perspective. Oh, honey, yeah, 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 dying. So last Saturday, after coming out of that, going through the eclipse, having that dream. Last Saturday, it hit me. Now I'm ready to dedicate myself to myself, not to a path, not to a system of working, not to a left or a right, just to myself. And it was the most beautiful thing. No pomp and circumstance. I lit a candle. I sat. I did what I did. I'm not going into details. I did what I did, and it was awesome. It was incredible. And if you would have told me 5 years ago I would be operating with this kind of mindset right now, I would not have believed it. My husband will tell you, he fought for this for a long time. And now that I'm here, he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what to do with it. Because when you're waiting and you're waiting, and the funny part is, he's not even walking the path as I'm walking it. He's respecting and he's loving what he's seeing. He's doing his thing, uh, um, and he's allowing me to do mine. So I've got my I'm down here in the basement, and I've always taken the basement. Even when I was doing the church stuff, I was in the basement. I took over the basement, doing the children church stuff, getting the arts and crafts ready, getting the BBS ready. This down here is my spot. This is my laboratory. This is my sacred space. It has always been that way. Now it has a facelift. I have an ancestor altar. I have my working altar over there. My stuff, my botanicals that I'm amassing, and my crystals, and my maybe I'll do an altar tour. My tarot cards and my decks, and I just showed you my notebooks with my journals and stuff that I'm doing. Hey, I'm having a ball. I really am. I am learning more about myself every day, and I am enjoying this journey. Um, I'm trying to think if there was. I'm trying to remember everything I wanted to catch you up on. Those were the main things: the eclipse, the dream, my breakfast with my ancestors. I think that was everything I wanted to update you on. I don't know how often I will do updates. Like I said, my work week is pretty busy, and then if I'm doing a working during the week on top of that, my husband works out of town a couple days a week, and by the time he gets home towards the weekend, um, I'm exhausted from work and from the workings, and then giving him attention and spending time with him and getting the laundry done and getting ready, preparing for the week to come. Yeah, I'm pretty much done in and making sure I'm spending my time with my ancestors. Um, I am going to try, and then I'm still, reading and still researching and still diving deeper and trying to dive deeper and do all the things that I'm doing. I think I have updated you with everything I wanted to say up to this point. Um, I think I do want to try to at least do a monthly video, um, just to keep you in the loop of where I am, and what's going on with me. Thank you for the new subscribers. I do want to say this. Thank you to the new subscribers. Those of you who have commented on the tarot readings that I have done. Honey, let me tell y'all something. Those things are raw. I'm new to all of this. So I look at the card, I read the book, I get the intuition or the download that I see, and I share it. I'm couldn't tell you I'm 100% right, but I appreciate the comments that some of you have left. Some of you have been doing this a long time, and you have voiced that what I've said is spot on. I appreciate that. When you're new to something and you want to step out there and just get your hands dirty and your feet wet, and you know how we are. You know how some people can be. Well, that's not the way that you're supposed to do it, and I wouldn't say it like that, and I wouldn't do it like that. And you're killing somebody's vibe or busting their bubble, or make them not want to share, basically not want to stick their neck out there. And um, some of you have been very, very generous and kind in your comments, so I appreciate that and want you to know that. um, every time I see that somebody subscribe, I sit here and I say, why? Because there are so many more seasoned, more veteran, um, um, more polished, um, content creators out here who are doing the doggone thing. And I told you I told you a couple of the names I'm watching. I've subscribed to so many channels, it's not even funny, because I get a little something from everybody that I subscribe to. Do I agree with them 100%? No. And I don't expect you to agree with me 100%. All I do is try to share what I do, where I am. Even if I do share what I do, this is how it's working for me. And just as I get the inspiration from those who I see, and what I'm starting to do, even in my conjurations and ceremonies book, when I do get a working, if I get inspiration from somebody else because I saw it on somebody else's channel, I'm writing who I got inspired by it in my book. So when I go back to it, if I need to go back to the video just to get a refresher, I know where I'm going. Um, I'm doing the work. Yes, the working works because I'm working it. But I'm also, even in just doing the work, giving credit where credit is due. And I'm writing down inspired by Priestess Aset, inspired by, who else have I been inspired by? I'll tell you. Um, Inspired by the Broken Prophet. That's one of the workings that I was considering doing this week. Inspired by Mystic at the Crossroads. So stuff that I'm doing, inspired by Mama T. I did made my own Florida water, and I didn't do it exactly the way she did it, but she gave me inspiration. She gave a working foundation that, if you have your citrus, and then you can put the herbs that you want in there and put things together. Yeah, I'm giving credit to where credit is due, because obviously I didn't have a clue. Obviously I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But these people who are willing to come on here and give their 2 cents makes a difference, and it has made a difference in me and my where I am currently. So if I'm gonna say something, I want to pay it forward and give them credit where credit is due, and then encourage you to do the same. So I think there was one more thing. I knew there was one more thing. Okay, here's the last thing. I'm at 45 minutes. Okay, let me try to finish this within an hour. The last thing. So yesterday, what I try to do on the weekend, especially with my husband when we're home, when he's home, is watch something that we can both enjoy. So yesterday on which streaming, Amazon Video. So Amazon Prime, the series Them season 2 came out. It launched and all the episodes were put on. And if you saw the first one, the second one, I'm just saying, you have to watch season 2. Now, if you didn't watch season 1, do that, please. Please just do it. If you got to binge it this weekend and then hit season 2 next weekend, it will be well worth it. You don't have to, but some of the nuances in season 2 will make sense if you have seen season 1 first. Please, I implore you to watch season 2, because it was dealing with, if you don't deal with your trauma, what can happen? If you don't deal with the generational curses, if you don't deal with, and maybe curse isn't the right word, but that's what we're used to hearing. If you don't deal with the issues in your bloodline, in your family, the trauma that you may have had growing up, and even as an adult, you may have experienced something that now you have some PTSD that you're having to deal with to work through that. If you don't deal with it, there are going to be some dire consequences. And one, you're not going to be free. That's just point blank. You're not going to be free. But two, it could possibly drive you insane. It can wreck it could even cause health issues that aren't part of your bloodline. You know, my doctor deals with me in a certain way because my mother passed from a heart attack. She deals with me in a certain way because of Alzheimer's that my grandmother had, stroke in my family, high blood pressure. I don't have high blood pressure, but those contributing factors. Our doctors deal with us because there's this that has gone on, there's that has gone on, this may have gone on. I have a sibling that that has dealt with colon cancer in remission. So these things we have to pay attention to. And this series, season 2, you got to watch it. Oh my God. Everything I feel like I have come through this past month, I saw it all in this series when I binge watched it yesterday. And my husband didn't watch it with me. He came in, and he always does this. He comes in at the last episode, during the last episode, and wants to get caught up on everything. And we had this deep, it was a beautiful, deep discussion when all was said and done, when that was done. And he is amazed. He said it. He is amazed at my line of thinking with all that I'm allowing myself and allowing to take place within myself, with the work that I'm doing and the path that I'm on and the journey that I'm experiencing, being able to give voice to these things. Earlier in our marriage, it would cause a fight, it would cause a rift. We could not completely be one flesh because I would allow a lot of that BS to come between us. I would allow it. he would be fighting it and I would be fighting him because he would bring it up. And I didn't want to have to deal with it. I didn't want to have to hear it. I didn't want to have to talk about it. I didn't want to have to rehash it. I didn't want to have to admit it. That's the truth of it. I didn't want to have to admit it. I didn't want to have to give voice and put it out in the ether, because if I said it, that meant it was true. And I didn't want it to be true, even though here and in my gut, it was 100% true. But if I didn't talk about it, that meant I wasn't giving it life. It already had life. I was trying to put my head in the sand and deny it. And it was all there. It was all there. And this season of this series solidified everything that I was dealing with and allowing to come to the surface and allowing myself to give voice to my ancestors and put it out there that it wasn't right. I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. I'm not going to accept this anymore. And while we may be blood, that does not mean you're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. It brought all it that was like a culmination. I love how the universe, when you take the step to do the work, will bring everything full circle for you. And it's going to be painful and uncomfortable. And it may cause you to cry. It may cause you to really deal with some shit. To really tell the truth about the truth, about the truth, about the truth. So that you can be free and move on. So if you get nothing else out of all that I rambled on and said, do me a favor. Watch it. Again, if you did not see season 1, now it's dealing with racial issues in the first season, and some of that is spilling over, but the family issue, that generational stuff, that trauma stuff that is not dealt with, that is beyond race. That is beyond ethnicity, that is beyond culture, that is beyond region, that is beyond country. It goes beyond, because all of us, black, white, male, female, straight, gay, queer, it has affected every one of us. Every one of us. Every one of us. So watch season 1. Get through it. Do what you need to do. And that in itself is shadow work too. You got to deal with your biases. You got to deal with your prejudices. You got to deal with your preconceived notions. That's season 1. And then season 2 drags you into your trauma, drags you into the stuff that you don't want to have to call attention to call attention to it. It's called life, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. It is called life. And life is beautiful. And it's painful. And it's torturous. And it's exciting. And it's exhilarating. And it is challenging. And it is worth it. So I'm glad I remembered that before I put this to an end, and I did it under an hour. Hip, hip, hooray. So again, hopefully I will be able to do at least a monthly video and bring you up to speed with what I've done within the 30 days since the last time I came on. And if I'm led to do a quick tarot reading or something like that in the meantime, I will put it up there. If I'm led to just do a quick encouragement, I will put it up there. Whatever the case may be, I will make myself available. But at least once a month, I will try to do just a quick catch up, just to let you know where I am, what's going on, what my focus has been for the past 30 days, and we'll go on from there. So thank you for indulging me. I'm glad to be back. I have missed you, and I hope that you have missed me. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you for those of you that have been waiting for something and you didn't pull your subscription and you've just been waiting. Thank you. I appreciate you. Um, um, and I look forward to seeing you next time. So with that, peace and blessings to you all. Take care.